All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's time for another installment of the Get Off My Lawn podcast. Very glad to have you along with us tonight. It's going to be a fun night, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting. So we've got some new faces. We've got some, I don't want to say old faces. They are, but what I mean by that is that they've been here for quite some time, and you're used to them. But we're gonna get into this a little bit. Um, just a couple of announcements that I want to get to here before we bring everybody in. If you're watching on the screen, you can see that ticker going across. But if you're catching us live, whether it is on either Facebook page or YouTube, doesn't matter. There is a live chat feature. And I would really prefer it if you would use that. So get those comments coming in. And as we get into this discussion, I think that you will be compelled to put those comments in. The cool thing is, unlike TV or radio, you can scream all you want at the dash of the car. You can scream all you want at Tucker on TV or Don Lemon. I don't know who you like to watch, but whatever it is, they can't hear you, and they're never going to, because TV and radio are one-sided. Live stream here on the internet works both ways. We can see your comments. We can field those in almost real time. So get those comments in, and I will do my best, and so will my fully semi-official co-host. We'll work on getting those posted up on the screen there so that we can include you in the discussion. Plus, we like to know that you're here. We want to know that you're out there. Whether you're a longtime listener, first-time caller, or you've been here a lot, go ahead and drop a comment. We just want to know where you are. You don't have to say your town if you don't want to. You can say your state. You can say your town. You don't have to give us your address. Don't give us your address, please. But I want to know that you're out there. I want to know where you're coming from. So, all right. Also, if you miss us, you want to drop a comment down below after the fact. You're watching on replay. You can leave those comments wherever you're watching or listening. That's totally okay. Or you can email us direct, letter N, letter E, Sandhills Media @gmail.com, nesandhillsmedia.com. That NE stands for Nebraska. So that might help you remember that if you forget what I said later. One other thing I want to mention, we are part of the Self-Defense Radio Network. We're very proud to be part of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can go catch this podcast along with a whole bunch of really, really good ones that are all geared around the Second Amendment or freedom, and some great stuff to go watch or listen to over there. So go to sdrn.us and check out all the cool stuff that's over there, but don't do it till we're done. Please finish this one out and then go do that. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, I don't care, but I would prefer if you share it. Hit that share button, send it to everybody, put it out there, put it in groups. I don't care. Share it everywhere. Get everybody else in here and have them join you, and you guys can just have a cool conversation while you're watching over in the live chat, and we can get it lively tonight. Okay, so we've got a few people that we are going to bring in here and liven up the panel real quick. So let's get everybody introduced. We will first bring in the fully semi-official co-host. You're used to seeing him now, but we've got Defense Dad, one of the two most eligible bachelors in the capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska. What's up, sir? You're muted. I can't hear you. There.
That's right, ladies. Single.
That's right. Okay. And then let's bring in our invited guests. These guys aren't normally here, but they did take time out of their schedules to hang out and have this discussion tonight. So first and foremost, we have got Rob Morse joining us. And if you're home, you're coming to us from Louisiana. That's correct, right?
That is correct.
Awesome. All right. So Rob is here. And just real quick, Rob, where would people know you from? You can introduce yourself better than I can.
My Slow Facts blog, 1,800 articles there. Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast, once a week, 20-minute podcast. The little snack food of a self-defense podcast.
Nice.
The Polite Society podcast. Gosh, I've been doing that for 7 years now. We'll get good at it someday. Yeah, that can run for 90 minutes. That's a little longer. I get to do the Armed Citizen column once a week at AmmoLand.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't know what you do with all your spare time, but I'm sure you find something to take up that 2 minutes out of the week.
Yeah. Personal hygiene mostly.
Oh, that's it. That's good. I should. No. Wow, that's worth looking into. What is this personal hygiene?
What is this personal hygiene of which I speak? Yeah. Okay.
All right, Rob, glad to have you with us tonight. Next up, we have got. I don't know how we're gonna do this. We could do Mike W or Mike 1, or you could even be Good Mike. I know Trey calls you over at Ghost Tactical calls you Magic Mike a lot. So I don't know if we're gonna get into that. If we do, I'm not playing Genuine, and you do not have to do the dance. I'm just saying. But we've got Michael Woodland with us from MW Tactical. So again, I'm going to let you introduce yourself better than I ever could.
Hey, I appreciate that. Once again, well, thank you first of all for having me onto your show, and everybody else who is here and who else is coming on. So thank you for the invite. Yeah. You can actually find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram by just doing a search for @M_W Tactical. And then at the same time, you can also find me doing, I don't know if it's co-hosting or the conversation between Rob Morse and myself with his self-defense stories. So every now and then you'll see me there, but yes, most of my involvement is on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And my main thing that I do right now is competition shooting.
Okay. Very cool. And yeah, I see some cool posts that you put up on your Facebook page from some of that from time to time. So.
Oh yeah. Well, did you see the one where I called out John Wick?
No, but I'm gonna go find it now.
So if you haven't seen me call out John Wick yet, go to either my Instagram page at @M_W Tactical and find that one, or go to YouTube. Just look up M-W Tactical and find the review I done on the Glock 35 Combat Master from Terran Tactical Innovations.
Nice. I will go find that. I will be watching that. And I advise everybody to go do that as well after we're done tonight. Don't go right now. All right. And then we're going to bring in other Mike 2. I don't know if he's bad Mike, but he is Mike Pipowarski. And again, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, John, thanks for having me back. It's always surprising when somebody does that, first off. It's great to be here with you, all of you guys. It's Arms Room Radio. That's been making my bones there for 7 8 years now, doing the rundown also for the past year, guesting here, hosting there, doing whatever I can to spread that Second Amendment word. And here comes a plug within a plug. If you're going to be in if you're going to SHOT Show or just in the Vegas area on January 17th on that Monday, come on out to the Hofbrau House. Arms Room Radio and the Rundown are hosting a party. And thanks to our good friends at Gorilla Machining, there'll be no charge for your alcohol that night. So come see us on Monday the 17th.
Mike, the beer lover at the brew. What perfect.
It's name, Rob. It's going to be like a house of mirrors. You don't know. It's the beer lover inside the beer house.
Yes, indeed.
That's going to be cool. One of these years, I'm going to make it to SHOT. It's not going to happen, obviously, this year, and I don't even know about next year. But someday I will get out there. So,
well, if free beer's not going to bring you out, I don't know what is. So.
Right.
Free Mountain Dew would bring me out. Beer and I don't like each other. It's mutual. So I have to find something else. But I'm good.
We got the Mountain Dew. We can make that happen. They're Bavarian Mountain Dews, so they're good.
Okay, there you go. I'm sure the dew from the mountains of Bavaria is a little bit higher proof than the dew from the mountains of PepsiCo. So
you're right. You know what? Now it's a new special. We're gonna have to put that on the show tomorrow.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, thanks for being here, and we've got a couple other of the usual suspects coming with us as well. And we'll round out the panel here. So from an undisclosed location deep underground, somewhere near the Nebraska-Kansas border, we're not even sure which state, that tunnel could go all the way to Arkansas. I have no idea. But down in a bunker, we've got Pat.
Good evening. How's everybody out there tonight?
We're all doing great, man.
Great.
Glad to have you along here.
Awesome.
And I just want to mention that the fact that you're exercising your right to bear arms has not gone unnoticed. So keep that up. You and Larry the Cable Guy are the two most famous Nebraskans that are known for that right now. So, all
Well,
right.
I'm not the only one known for that, but I am 6 foot and about 145 soaking wet. So the camera adds about 10 pounds.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. It's like a kid in high school that was in my class when we had our junior class. Back in the old days, it was, they actually called it slave auction. We couldn't call it that by the time I hit high school, but
Yep.
the junior class auction where you bid on a kid for hired to work for a day. One of my classmates actually. This happened after the homecoming football game. He kept his shoulder pads on for the auction, just so he'd look a little bigger and stronger than what he was.
Man, the camera does. I mean, this all camera. I'm actually skinnier than Pat in real life, running a 4.5 40.
Yeah, but you are tall still, so
6'1".
there you go. All right, and then last but certainly not least, the other most eligible bachelor in the capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska, the tactical teacher, Travis P11 is in the house.
Hey, thank you for the invite, man. I do appreciate it. Mike, it's kind of funny. I do have some Hofbrau in my fridge right now. I had no idea there's a Hofbrau house outside of Munich. I feel like I need to be there. I don't know, man. But anyway, I'm excited. So anyway, guys, thanks for the invite, man. It's good to be here. And I'll probably hang out for about an hour or so. Then I got to go. But otherwise, I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, and we could probably let this go off the rails into a beer chat very easily, but that's not going to happen. I just want to let everybody know we're going to rein that one in right now. But that's only because, as I said before, I don't like beer. I don't care about beer. Beer could fall off the face of the earth, and it wouldn't affect me the way that it would affect some of the rest of you. So,
well, now, John, I don't. It's not that I like to talk about it. Rob knows this story. It's that I have to talk about it. If you look at my name there on your screen,
I know what it means.
The last part of my name, Ski, is family. It's like the son in Anderson. The Ski is the same thing. The var, var means to make something, and the pivo is beer. So I am the son of the beer maker, or the beer maker clan, or the brewers. My name in Polish is basically walking around saying I'm Johnny Budweiser. So it's in my, when I say it's in my blood, it's in my blood. I have to talk about it. And then Travis, I've been to the Hofbrau house in Munich. The one in Las Vegas is an identical copy, except for the coverage over the open air in the back. And I've been to many other Hofbrau house. It's the closest copy. It's the one that was made to look exactly like the one in Munich.
How cool is
It's
that?
just like Disney.
Yes, exactly right. Yep.
It's Mike's Disneyland.
It's Mike's Disneyland. That's right.
Exactly.
Where a kid can be a kid. No, that was Toys R Us. Yeah.
That's it. That's
All
it.
right, before we move on, we are going to go off the rails just for a second because Two Live Moo was out there in the chat on YouTube, and I wanted to put this comment up because of that tactical teacher comment. Apparently, Two Live Moo is hot for teachers, so I'm pretty sure that I can speak for Travis and say that he's only interested in the ladies.
Moo's married, isn't he?
That's not going to stop him from.
He's got a daughter, I think,
That's
a
not going to
kid.
stop him from having an internet crush. It's okay.
Oh my gosh,
It's
it's all right.
fine.
It's all right. I love Two Live Moo too.
Polyamorous.
So, all right. So let's get this thing back in order here. One of the things that I hadn't put into the episode description, and honestly, because I hadn't thought about it, it's completely coincidental that we're having this discussion on January 6th, 2022.
Right.
For those of you that have been paying attention to the news at all in the last 365 days, you're aware that 1 year ago today in Washington, D.C., there was a lot of things that happened. There was a rally. There was Stop the Steal was the rally that people gathered for. And President Trump was there to speak at that rally and has now been accused of inciting a riot and whipping everybody up into a frenzy and telling them to go march into the Capitol building and I don't know what they think that he whipped him up into doing. They label it as an insurrection, and I am not that great. Yeah, air quotes for those of you that can't see Mike on the screen. The way that I understand an insurrection, it is if you go in unarmed to try and overthrow a government, I don't think that that's probably going to work very well, and so it's the worst insurrection ever.
Where a bunch of
Done
people
by
walk
the-
in with cell phones.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, just it's not right. Taking selfies, no. That's
never
worse.
mind the fact that the police barricades were pulled back by the police officers in many locations
Right.
to allow people in the door. But
To let the FBI get in early, right?
we'll never know for sure exactly what happened, and I think many things were going on simultaneously. But they got the narrative that they wanted just because
Right.
they control the narrative when you control most of the major news mouthpieces. So they call it an insurrection. It was definitely a riot. It was ill-advised, and I don't think there's anybody who that I've ever spoken to anyway that thinks it was a great idea to let it go as far as it did. But at the same time, the only people who were shot were the ones that were shot by the Capitol Police. The only person that was actually killed during the riot, because of the riot, was the lady that was shot by the Capitol Police. The rest of those were incidental incidences, and they weren't trampled to death or beaten to death by rioters. So the more time that goes by, the more truth that comes out. I mean, whatever. But that isn't a bad lead-in to tonight's real topic, because we've still got people who were singled out because of all that cell phone footage and surveillance footage as well. We've got people that were singled out. They were arrested, right? They're in solitary confinement. Some of them still to this day. It's almost a year later since they were arrested. And another thing that's happened since then, well, not since then, another thing that's happened, it happened before then, but the trial is fairly recent, was Kyle Rittenhouse was on trial for defending his life during other riots that happened in Wisconsin. And so I want to talk about this a little bit, because I've seen a lot of things recently, and it's really been weighing on my mind that we need to have a discussion. One of the reasons that, in my mind anyway, that Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted was because they looked for dirt on him far and wide. They went through every social media post. They found one picture of him wearing, I don't remember what the t-shirt was, and supposedly
Black Rifle Coffee.
Oh, okay. Yep, the Black Rifle Coffee shirt.
Yeah.
They found one picture of him in that shirt, which, I mean, even Travis drinks that stuff. So it's
Actually, I don't really support Black Rifle Coffee anymore because of their recent political changes, but I did at one point, but still, it's not. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? That can be the case, though. Maybe Kyle Rittenhouse thought they made really cool YouTube videos or commercials, and had the T-shirt, and maybe he doesn't feel the same way about them anymore either. I guess we'll see. But that was it. I mean, but I want to talk about T-shirts, slogans, bumper stickers, those fun little tin signs that you can buy and post next to your door, you know, that say, "We don't dial 911," or "If you can read this, you're within range," or "Keep honking, I'm reloading," things like that. You know, the AR-15 dust cover that says "You're effed," that the police officer got into trouble for because it was on his personal rifle and he was using his personal rifle on duty that day. All of these things could potentially be what makes or breaks a defense case. And since I took my class to become an instructor, I've been thinking a lot about the court of public opinion, the reasonable person standards,
exactly,
all of that stuff, and it's been in the front of my mind, and so that's why I wanted to have this discussion, and that's why I wanted to get several of you in the panel that at least to me, you guys, you're not only smart people, but you're also down to earth people. And you're just regular guys, all of you too, besides being smart and being good at what you do. And Pat's here too. So just kidding.
I was waiting for it. I knew one of us was going to
Yeah,
I couldn't.
Ouch.
I was thinking about letting it go. I couldn't pass that one up. No, honestly, that's why we have the panel that we have. I mean, Shane is with me all the time. My unofficial, fully semi-official co-host. Travis and Pat are here most nights too. We have panelists that come in and out and invited guests. I want a combination of opinions. I want a combination of experiences and perspectives, because I don't want this to only be people who are quote unquote in the industry. Right. I don't know if I'm in the industry or not. I do this, and I sit on the board for my state 2A lobby group, but at the same time, I'm just me. I have a 9-to-5 job that doesn't have anything to do with firearms or freedom. And there's so many regular people out there. And so I want to bring perspectives from all across the spectrum. And that's why we've got a competitive shooter. We've got an author and a couple broadcasters, along with, a teacher, a farmer, a couple salesmen in here. So that's why I have the panelists that I do, because we're all Americans, we're all pro-gun people, and we're not all the same. And I want to show that not everybody who is outspoken on behalf of the Second Amendment or freedom in general is somebody who has a podcast or has a radio show or spends countless hours a week writing articles for different websites and blogs and publications. We're everybody. The Second Amendment applies to everyone, as our friend Tony likes to say. And but really, the Second Amendment community is everyone. And so that's what I want to bring to the table, and that's who I want to reach, is everyone. So I want to talk about some of the things that maybe not everyone has considered, because goodness knows I've posted some of those funky things myself that I hope one day won't come back and bite me. But I probably should go back through 10 years worth of more than 10 now, almost 15 years worth of Facebook posts. And I should consider maybe pulling some of those down, especially now with the new venture that I'm planning on starting into this year as another career. And so as a firearms instructor. And so I just thought that this would be something we could talk about. So we're not going to go around the horn tonight. I think everybody here has been on live streams and this kind of format enough that we can get away without walking on each other too much. But these are the things I want to talk about. Not only that they might get you into trouble, but I want to explore the other side too. We still have a First Amendment in this country. We still have the right to post things, however ill-advised they may be. So if you want to say things like you don't dial 911, you still have the right to say such a thing. So where do we draw that line? This topic's a little more nuanced than just don't put Ruger stickers on your back window, because that's probably going to get somebody to break into your vehicle looking for a firearm, which if you leave your firearm in your vehicle overnight, you're dumb anyway. But that's just me.
I still want you to have a back window in the morning.
But I still want you to have a back window in the morning. And what would be even, I don't know which would be worse. They broke into the car to get the guns because of the sticker that's on it, or the sticker was on there, they broke the window, there were no guns, and now all you've got is a broken window out of the deal. So, but if you're proud of your Ruger sticker that you got with your 10/22 rifle, put it on your car. It's your car. You can do what you want to.
Well, okay. So you just said that. What's the question? What's allowed under the First Amendment? Go for it. What's wise? Oh, whole different question. We're allowed to be stupid in public. People have made a career of it when you look on YouTube.
Well, it's not just gun stickers either, It's sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Pat was admitting there that he may have.
It's not just gun stickers. Like I wasn't always a gun guy, but when I was a kid, I was a car guy, and I had a hell of a car stereo. You start putting Alpine or Blaupunk stickers on your car. You're just asking. I mean, I got a car stereo stolen. I had $10,000 in this car stereo, which was dumb in the first place. This was in the 90s. And I had stickers all over the place because I competed in competitions. So I learned at that age not to start advertising stuff, because after I replaced everything was very nondescript. So it doesn't matter if it's guns or whatever. You put stickers on, you're just asking for people, hey, there's crap in there I might want.
Yep. Well, I'm going to ask the brain trust here. Somebody said, and I've forgotten who, look, if you haven't considered what you might say in a public defense situation, close your mouth. If you don't have a reasonable plan, if you haven't studied it, then every couple of words just break out $1,000, because that's what it's going to take for the lawyer to redefine what you said. I know what he said. What he meant was, say all you want, have all the stickers you want, but you just increased your self-defense legal bill a ton. Hopefully you have enough to pay for it.
Yeah, that's something that is if nothing else, hopefully people will walk away from this conversation tonight. Not so much the panelists, because I don't think this is any news to any of the six of you. Certainly not to me, but those of you out watching and listening right now, hopefully that if you haven't considered this before, this will be maybe a little bit of an eye-opener to you. So I said I wasn't going to go around the horn, but I do kind of want to hear everyone's opinions before the night's over on just is it a general consensus? Is it going to be a quick, yep, I agree, and that'll be the end of the conversation? Maybe. But I want to peel back some layers of the nuance on this a little bit, just because there are people that will say, I have the right to put whatever I want to on my vehicle, and think that should, well, how do I say this? We don't want to get into victim shaming. If you put that Ruger sticker on your back window and then it gets broken into, is that your fault, or is it the fault of the criminal? If you have a sister, a daughter, a cousin who wears short shorts and a crop top and then is in a bad part of town walking through the alley to take a shortcut to get from point A to point B while bar hopping, and an unsavory character decides to commit an assault, that is not her fault. It was not a smart decision to cut through the alley, but it is not the victim's fault. So I want to bring that into the discussion too a little bit. I mean, where do we go from, how do we get between you can post this, but just be prepared for something bad to happen, to it's not your fault, it's the perpetrator's fault, to let's mitigate some risk?
Yeah, I'll chime in on this one first. Yeah, I mean, it's just like going back to the advertisement deal. Do you want to be stealth and kind of low key? Because I kind of had the same thing that happened to Defense Dad. Back when I used to race circuit track a lot, and we would paint some things on the back end of the race car with some people that we didn't get along with, and yeah, that kind of brought on trouble. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, if you want to kind of be I'll use this phrase, this is the best thing I can think of right offhand, the gray man, and just kind of blend in and not stir up trouble. But I guess it's but to play devil's advocate on that too, you look at it, and if it's something you're truly passionate about, yes, you have every single right to put whatever you want online, on a car, on bumper sticker, or whatever. But at the same time, you got to be thinking in the back of your mind, what might be the consequences for putting said comment, bumper sticker, whatever out there? I mean, So you've got to be willing to, so to speak, hang your neck out there and deal with the consequences as they come. So a guy's got to think about that. It just can't be a snapshot decision. Guys got to think about that for just a minute and be like, oh well, yeah, that might be bad, or I'm passionate enough about it that I want people to know about it.
You make a very good point.
Well, I would honestly say, from my standpoint, I look at it two different ways. All right. So, anytime the law is being pushed or pursued, naturally by default, I have to look at it as two separate rules. And when I say that is, I understand what the law is being said, but then I have to look at it as the person who is governing that law. How are they perceiving me in relation to that law?
Mhm.
You know, so because I've always said this ever since I was a teenager. We live in two different Americas. You know, so for instance, if I walk out the house with a T-shirt on that has a snowman on it, right, and then I get in any type of altercation, confrontation, or anything, automatically am I perceived as being a drug dealer because of the symbolism with the snowman and the drug culture, street culture? You know, does that make me a bad guy? Right? Am I practicing First Amendment, or is that just a shirt that I felt was cool? Right. So now, if I have that same shirt on that says something along the lines of, "I train my shot group is this tight," and if somebody runs up on me and try to rob me, and I actually defend myself, how is that going to be perceived in court under the two different Americas, as I already described? Because you already know it's going to be stated along the lines of, you purposely wanted to cause harm or, you know, pull your firearm out and render self-defense. But then look at some of the actions that the officers are doing around the country in that same breath. So how do we balance it out? How do we weigh it out? But is freedom of speech really the protection of the symbolism of what somebody's going to take the perception of?
Well, I think there's also a level of the situation too. If you just go out and you're running errands, you're hitting grocery stores, whatever, in whatever t-shirt it is, whether it's the group therapy with the target on it, or if it's a snowman t-shirt, either way,
Right.
and you go in the store, you get out the store, you go home, nothing happens, then literally nothing happens. I mean, it's just a t-shirt then, right?
Correct.
This really only comes into play in a situation where you are facing criminal charges for, or potentially facing criminal charges for defending your life or somebody's life that was with you. So if you're not a concealed carrier, that may be something that isn't quite the issue that it is for some of the rest of us too. So, you know, we don't think about these things oftentimes until it's too late, which is why we're having this conversation right now. But I mean, ultimately, as a concealed carrier, I've had to completely rethink how I go about doing everything that I do.
Right.
You know, I mean, Charlie Cook likes to say, you know, he goes with pogo when he gets dressed, pants on, gun on. He's carrying from the time that he gets up in the morning until he goes to bed at night. His sidearm doesn't come off when he comes in the door at night. You know, he's still got it on the whole time that he's dressed. And so I like to do the same thing just because I've found a carry method that's comfortable, and I don't have to take it off. I'm not waiting to get home to take it off the way that sometimes we are with shoes, or as anybody who's ever been around a female knows, once you're home for the night, that bra is off. And so we're not going to take this chat into the gutter, but ladies are out there right now are nodding their heads, every one of them. I know they are. And so you know, we don't want our sidearm to be like that. If we want to have that with us, or have them staged securely throughout the home too, depending on, if you've got little fingers in the house. I don't, so I could stage stuff in my house differently than some of the rest of you out there can. But
now one
that's
other thing we gotta look at also is the climate of the judicial system in your area.
Mhm.
And a perfect example, it was something you said that keyed it in on me. If you happen to watch Yellowstone, it was when an activist went out there and started doing the protesting, and when he was talking, Kevin Costner, when he was talking with that protester, he stated they don't have a problem with making an example out of you and putting people in jail because that's not a problem here. So depending on the climate in your area, that's also going to drive the decision-making process in the same discussion topic that we're speaking on also.
Yeah, and what's actually ironic in that TV show is, had she been carrying a gun and not assaulting police officers, state officers, there would have been a case in Montana. That would have just been fine.
Mhm.
No judge is going to care if you're carrying a firearm in most of Montana, especially
Right.
not the part that they're in the show.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that they were outsiders, they were there to protest the exploitation of the land, and then she did assault county and state officers. So you're right, that is the kind of thing that in that TV show that judge wanted to throw the book at her and deter others from committing the same crimes. In other parts of the world, say just randomly speaking, for no reason whatsoever, I'm going to say Kenosha, Wisconsin. There could be a prosecutor that wants to make an example of somebody who uses a firearm to defend their life and try to turn them into some sort of bloodthirsty uh, white supremacist. And I'm speaking strictly hypothetically because we know it would probably never happen. But and I said that, of course, tongue in cheek. But that's the kind of thing, depending on where you live, that you may have to deal with. Now, those of you who are watching and listening, who do practice concealed carry, and if you're doing it, please make sure you're doing it legally. You're not helping us if you're breaking the law. But if you're a legal concealed carrier, then those are things that you need to think about. And a lot of you are in areas where the prosecutor would like nothing more than to put you away and find a reason to make this about you and your gun and turn you from a defense-minded individual to an offense-minded individual. So these are things we have to keep in mind these days. Should we have to? No. Should a young lady have to worry about being assaulted based on her wardrobe choices? No. But does she? Yes. Do we have to? Yes. The world sucks. There are sucky people in it, and you need to have a plan for what you're going to do if you run across them. And sometimes that means in a court of law, not in a back alley.
Well, and so I mean, there's multiple layers to this conversation, and so there's talk about the legal aspect. You guys have touched on it. There's like you said, there's prosecutors out there that are just gonna anything you have advertised they're gonna try to make you out to look like you're a horrible human being, and hey, sorry, and you're out to do harm. So there's that aspect of it. There's also, as a concealed carrier, like I look like a gun guy, so I don't want to advertise anymore. I don't wear the fishing vest or the concealed carry. Sorry.
Thousands of dollars of high-tech communications gear taken out by a $2 cat.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying. So I don't advertise that stuff. This might get some people butt hurt. So, and if that's fine, get one of those inflatable pillows and sit on it, some ibuprofen. But I don't put advertisements on my house or my car because I think they trash things up. But more importantly, I don't like to advertise that I have guns or that I'm carrying guns, especially when I have my daughter with me and I'm on my day-to-day life. I don't want to be at the store and have some person come cause a scene because they see that I'm carrying a holster, or that kind of stuff. If I'm just getting some milk or that sort of thing. There's all sorts of reasons to either do or don't do these things, and you have to make that decision yourself. We have enough other decisions to worry about as gun owners if you do concealed carry, like if you're taking your kid to school, if you're carrying the gun, if you have to set 1 foot outside your car, now you're committing a felony. Those are the more important decisions. Why invite reasons to people to just ruin your day? And when I know I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting my family, doing my stuff, I move on with life, and it's nobody's business. So that's.
Can I, you brought it up, open carry. We had a hurricane. We almost cornered the market on hurricanes last year.
No kidding.
And there were a couple times where I open carried and people said, thank you, I should do that. I go, yeah, you should, just for a couple days. Because it was not a normal situation. That was a case where open carrying was appropriate. The comment about open carry, and Mike, I'd love to, Mike P., somebody described it as it's a great deterrent right up until it isn't. And I want
that's an apt description of that. I like that.
Right. At which point, all of a sudden, it goes from being a positive to you just put yourself at the shoot me first list. Michaels, what do you think of that?
Rob, maybe it's a little unfair. You and I have again had this talk at hours at length, I think, about open carry versus concealed carry. And John, I don't want to take everything too far off the rails, but if anybody else wants to make open carry comments before I destroy them, feel free to. But I can go there, but I'd like to talk about the signaling and the signing first that we were just talking about.
Okay, let's do that.
If that's all right.
Go ahead. You have
listen, I've got a lot of different experiences from different places. I started in the military, ended in law enforcement, went back to military, and then into the private sector beyond that. In law enforcement, since I became an instructor early on in that career in firearms and got into supervisor positions, it was very, very clear that it was only a matter of time. I became a cop I was in the academy when the Rodney King stuff was going on. So to give you an idea of the time frame, we would watch that trial during class. And it was known before then, but it was almost, I don't know, just people would turn the other way and not mention anything. And Rodney King, I think that was probably the first social movement of our day, trial involving race and law enforcement. I'd venture to say that's probably the first one post 60s and 70s that we really saw anything like that. And the conversation was, and it went into immediately after that, when I started firearms instructing and being a supervisor, was none of that stuff on your guns, guys. And ARs, started to become popular. We started to get them from the military. We weren't allowed to make modifications to that in 2004 when the assault weapon ban ended and guys were able to buy their own guns and really start to mod them out. You started to see stuff like the zombie slayers or the vampire killer ones or the kill them all, let God sort them out kind of dust covers. And immediately we put that stuff down, and we wouldn't authorize those to be carried because, God forbid if you got in a legitimate shoot and the defense gets a hold of that rifle, and that's what they show the world. They show the world that sticker or that decal on there that says, shoot them all, let God sort them out, and you're done. There's no amount of, I saved a busload of nuns and killed the rapist that's going to save you at that point. It's going to be that public image, which is why we didn't let them do it there. In the same thing overseas when I was over in the desert, wouldn't allow my guys to carry anything on their uniform, on their weapons that wasn't like, pro country, pro morale, pro unit, that kind of thing. They weren't allowed to have any of that stuff on there in fear that what if something bad went down? What if something good went down and it was portrayed bad? And that's the patch right on your guy's, uniform. It says, Dilligaff or something like that. For those that are familiar with the acronym, is that what you want, everybody else to see. Is that the face of your unit? No, it's not. And that might be the private feelings. And we know as soldiers and even as cops to a certain extent, you have to have that feeling of I can walk through the valley of death and fear no evil, because without that confidence, I'm going to fail. And so it was that fine line of I want them to feel like they can defeat the enemy, but you have to protect them from the enemies you have in the courtroom or in the media. So it was a lot of protecting that you have to do when it comes to on the firearms, those decals, those stickers. And I know that's kind of where we started tonight. So maybe just given that and, kick the conversation around a little bit. I'm curious and anybody else's feelings. Mike did say earlier, I want to say this with the group therapy shirt. I've got an attorney that I work with. He would probably get down on his knee and kiss your rings, Mike, if you wore that shirt during a shooting, because his whole defense would be, you practiced, you trained, you became better, so you would restrict that the extra casualties. You became a better shot, so there would be no other damage to other people. That's why you wore that shirt, so people would know that that you've trained yourself and you've helped. And by taking that action that day, you actually saved other lives by being better trained than everybody else. So.
Well, and if
Just
I
a
could
good attorney can spin it anywhere, and a bad attorney will make you look like an idiot, right? So
yeah, exactly.
If I could just clarify real quick too, like I'm not against open carry. I do open carry and I concealed carry, but I've been in a situation where I took my daughter to the grocery store and I was open carrying that day, and a lady caused a scene like, "Oh my God, he's got a gun!" She started saying how horrible I was. She started addressing my daughter, how horrible her dad was. He must be a monster for carrying guns. So there's times when I find it appropriate. I don't open carry at the grocery store anymore.
Yeah, no. If we want to go back to the open carry, we'll have that conversation. But
well, I just want to clarify that part of why I said what I did. So,
yeah. Mike, I will officially invite you back here in a week not too distant, and we'll devote the night to that. How about that?
All right.
Because we could go the whole rest of the night clear until the sun comes up, I think, and discuss the nuance of some of that too. Before we go too much farther, I want to throw a couple comments in from the I think mostly YouTube. And before I do that, even I should have started the show with this. So let me put the disclaimer out there. None of us are lawyers, and none of us are offering any legal advice. This is just some normal dudes talking about the world based on the filters of our own experiences. And we're not telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And again, none of this is actual legal advice. Where'd that go to? And here it is. First up, we did get a super chat, so I want to thank Richard Hirsch. He says, God bless America and the 2A defenders. So thank you for that. And I will definitely second that statement. God bless America and the 2A defenders. Who do we have out there? G-Webs is out there in the chat tonight and is making some pretty good comments. Where'd that first one go to? Gosh, I just had it here too. There it is. Gun Websites says we'll never move the Overton window if we always hide our possessions, in his opinion. And
okay, can I comment on that?
Well, there's 3 comments from him.
Okay,
and
go
then
for it.
and then go.
Go for it.
Comment number 2: he lives in Arizona. He's traveled. He knows places, folks, etc. are not all the same. Too many valid gun folks are not willing to change the paradigm of what an open carry person is. So potentially the only open carriers they see, meaning the anti-gun or anti-carry people, are the yahoos. And so, all right. So with all of that out there, Rob, go ahead.
Mike, I'm going to take your side of this. I was at, what was it? Some sort of street fair. Various groups would come out, and there were political groups, right next to the organic honey. And there was a guy who was for a local pro-gun group. He looked like an impeccable insurance salesman. Suit, tie, white shirt, materials laid on a table, beautiful holster, barbecue gun, He goes, I'm in sales. I'm trying to sell an idea. We're all in sales. Every time you open carry, every time you put a sticker on your car. Mike, did I make part of your point for you?
You did, Rob. That's I like that. We're all sales, and we're all trying to sell, Second Amendment and responsibility. That's a good analogy there. Thank you.
Okay.
No, that's a very good point. Now, I will say that I think that there is a time and a place for everything, and a two-way rally is not the only time and not the only place for open displays of our two-way rights. But again, it depends on where you live too. If you live in, which Lincoln's not a big town to some of you, I know, but in Nebraska, it's the second biggest town we have. To me, Lincoln's a big town. And Lincoln and Omaha have the highest concentration of non-gun people that Nebraska has as well. So Defense Dad knows the landscape, and you're more likely to run into that what is colloquially known as a Karen these days,
Right.
in Lincoln versus where I live or where I came from in a very, very rural part of the world. I've open carried into the gas station in the town where I went to high school, and nobody bats an eye because it's not a problem where I came from. I don't open carry much here, but that's just because typically if I'm not at work, then there's something else going on, and I've got little to no opportunity to just go out and about my day while open carrying. But even if I'm carrying, outside my waistband with a jacket or something over it, and I happen to flash it, it's not a big deal really where I live. But when you get into the bigger cities, the more urban environments, the places where the higher concentrations of anti-gun people tend to live, that changes everything. And it's not just with your firearm itself. It can be with your 511 or,
Right.
No offense to Mike W., but your proper pants or whatever it is. It can be the t-shirts that you wear, or the pickup that you pull up in, which a lot of you call a truck. Here it's a pickup that has the lift kit, the mud tires, and the Confederate flag flying off the bumper.
John, you just brought something to mind. You ever been to a local rodeo?
Oh, heck yeah.
Right. They come to town.
Mhm.
The local SAS guys had a wonderful Pro 2A display. They're displaying the was it Single Action Shooting Society? Is that what that?
Yep.
Yes,
That's what that is.
Okay. They're in period gear. They go,
Mhm.
This is what responsible gun ownership has been here forever. And everybody used to open carry. And all of a sudden,
Mhm.
all the Karens went, oh, wow, look at that.
But again, at a rodeo.
Yeah, the marketing fit the venue. It was perfect.
Right. Yeah, because that feels to me like preaching to the choir, other than a lot of people may not know that there is an organized
All right.
competition for such things. But rodeo is full of cowboys. Those are guys that have no problem carrying a revolver in a nice leather holster. I mean, but I want to throw this out too. If you're going to open carry, again, let's talk about the court of public opinion here. If you insist on open carrying, you will, and anybody that wants to argue with me, let's have the discussion somewhere sometime. You will cause less of a panic with the revolver in a leather holster than you will with a Glock in a Kydex holster. Either way, with two identical outfits, outside the waistband carrying, and no cover garment. But having the old-fashioned, FUD gun is going to arouse less panic than the Glock 7 that is invisible to airport radars and costs more than you make in a month. It's just the way that perception is, even in this part of the world, which partly that may be because I live in a part of the world where people tend to resist change and maybe not be quite as progressive as other parts of the world. But it's just one of those things where anytime I've ever had a revolver, it's never been, nobody's even really commented on it. Versus if I am carrying an automatic, I've not had any bad experiences, but then people just want to know, hey, what is that, or something like that for me. But I've heard the horror stories. We know that the quote unquote high capacity, death objects that Joe Biden's trying to ban, whether it's a 9mm or an AK-14 or whatever he's trying to ban. I mean, it's when you're dealing with 5, 6, maybe 8 shots in a revolver, which you have to be a gun person to know that. Otherwise, you're thinking it's a 6-shooter. So it's not scary. We grew up watching cowboy movies, and it's a cowboy gun, and put some cowboy boots on, and it looks right at home with you.
Well, okay. To the one person here who's not a firearms instructor today, we can fix that in the next week. For a lot of people, you'd go, no, I'm a firearm instructor. I teach people to be responsible gun owners. This is how I advertise.
Which is a great point, and that may happen in the future for me. I could see that being the case. The more people that I talk to about my new venture, the more interest I'm getting already in people that want to know when I start to schedule classes, even around here. I put a post up about 6 months ago now, and I've only been certified for what is today, less than a month. So, but 6 months ago, when I first was talking about it, I put a feeler out on my Facebook page, on my personal page, and just wanted to know if anybody would be interested. Gosh, 3 days later, I had over 120 people saying, let me know when you get it done. So, and that's just my Facebook friends. That's not strangers. That's not people that are looking for a way to become, well, they may be, but it's not, I heard from a therapist this week that wants to refer some people once I'm going, that would like to know that sense of empowerment. So I know that the landscape is changing for the better, I think. And if anything, I mean, the fact that we've seen more gun sales in the last 2 years than the last 10 years before, kind of just supports that. But people are becoming more gun friendly or gun curious, I think. And it's not because anybody wants to go killing, but it's because they don't want to feel helpless. They don't want to feel defenseless, which is the whole reason why I started carrying myself.
Well, how about this? Let's bring it a little bit more towards the show. Let's say forget the revolver. Let's say someone's open carrying and it's a Glock 17, or I carry my VP9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're carrying that in a store someplace, and you're carrying that in a nice leather holster, or you're carrying it in a Kydex holster that says "Come and take it," or "From my cold dead hands."
Well, sure.
So there is a court of public opinion. Is it wrong to wear the holster that says "From my cold dead hands" or or whatever? No. But now, if you have to use that gun and to defend yourself, and then it could be a different outcome, because the prosecuting attorney, well, he had a holster that said "Come and take it," or "From my cold dead hands." That's fuel for them to try to make it look like you're out there to try to cause problems. Mm-hmm. Compared to, they couldn't do that if you have a leather holster. So, I mean, there's those little nuances of what you choose to advertise, what you choose to say, or even if you have a backplate on that Glock that says those things. There's little things that could either really hang you up in court, or could make, there could be less of an issue.
Indeed.
Well, can I say something right quick? Now, as far as the open carry aspect of it, let's back it up, because back when I was first becoming an instructor and I was stationed at Fort Benning, I decided to walk in 3 different parts of the city, because Georgia is open carry.
Mm-hmm.
And all 3 parts of the city, I did not feel comfortable. But now you also got to remember too, I'm also 6'5", at that time, like 225, So I already know whenever I walk around, people are automatically going to look at me. And then when I have a firearm open carry, now it's more attention brought to me when they see that firearm. are you someone who would be comfortable with a lot of people looking at you in that manner? Because I was not comfortable with that, because my whole life has always been, hey, stay under the radar. But now, because I have this firearm on me, I know it's more eyes on me, or at least I perceived it to be more eyes on me. And you have to weigh that structure within yourself also before you actually do it. So I would actually say, if you are allowed to open carry in your state, give it a try, even if it's just going to the gas station, or, walking like half a mile down the road and then coming back or something like that, just so you can get familiar with it before you just dive into it. Because you don't want to get overwhelmed in the event, like if something was to happen and then you overreact. Now that's a whole different lawsuit that's about to take place.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I think that.
Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say, I think that we all probably have a similar story like this one. But when I first started concealed carrying, I felt like I was open carrying. I thought that everybody was looking at me. Everybody knew it was there. Everybody was staring at it, and I was just waiting for something bad to happen, which never did, because it turns out I'm not that important to anybody but me, and nobody really cared that I was there, let alone what I was wearing.
Right.
I can only name three instances ever. 2 while open carrying, 1 while concealed carrying, that anybody even knew that it was there, and no bad things have happened in my life with that. But I think we've all felt that conspicuity of having that firearm there with us, right? Whether it's open or not. So, and geez, all you guys that are standing 6'1", 6'5", if we ever take a group picture, it's going to have to be zoomed out so that I can even be in it, because I'm 5'9". So I'm going to have to wear my tall boots that day.
That's a cute height, though.
Thanks.
Perfectly average.
Cute's actually a word that gets used a lot to describe me. So by my wife and nobody else. It's okay though; she's the only one that counts. But no, that's what I was gonna say. So yeah, go ahead, Mike. Mike P, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, just kind of backing up what Mike said there. I it's tough because I'm in a state where there's no open carry. We're one of 4 now. We were one of 5, and it's the state where we really need open carry, because it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity here all the time, and trying to keep that damn thing covered is a challenge, for the most part. But Mike, it was I was, when I first got into the civil rights industry, is what I call what do we do here at the Second Amendment business, is I was invited to go up to Georgia Carey's conference, and they were at the Waverly Hotel there in downtown Atlanta. And by the way, I've open carried in Columbus also, and that's it is weird, because you're dealing with, I think everybody in Columbus is not from Columbus, and if they are, it's only one generation.
Exactly.
It's a different town. I'm a 11 Bravo myself originally, so.
Same here.
So
Same here.
And I did this up at the Waverly, and I'm going to tell you guys, it felt like, and I want to make sure you understand. Listen, I was a uniformed cop for years, always carried a gun like that. Then a detective, always wore one on my belt. But trying to walk out of that hotel room with a firearm as a civilian with no badge, your ID next to it, was like trying to take your first step on a nude beach. It was the most. It was the most. You were like, I don't know. It feels normal. Everybody else is doing it, and you take 2 steps out of the room and you step back in. And I think it took me until the second day before I was even able to make it to the lobby open carrying. So you absolutely. And I'd carried a gun for 25 years before that. It was a very strange feeling for that first time. And again, we can go into the reasons why and everything else now. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you. I had very similar feelings, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Henceforth to be described as Mike's nude beach story.
Yes. Yes, that's
yeah. I did the same thing in Virginia also, because I'm originally from Virginia, and I went home one time, summertime, Christmas time, whenever it was.
Right.
But what I actually ended up doing was looking up the gun laws, and when I read the gun laws, I knew the cop that lived like right down the street from my grandmother. So I was talking with him, and he pretty much stated like, yo, you can open carry in Virginia. Now this was back in like 2002, I think it was. And he was like, just put on some slacks and a button-up shirt. They're gonna think you're a cop anyway because you already got that persona
Right.
about
Yeah.
you. You know, and that's what I did. I walked around all day with the firearm in open configuration.
Yep.
But people were offering me free food. Like when I went to go eat, I was getting free food. And I was like, man, this is what the cops do. Oh man,
Thank you for your service, sir.
years
Thank
ago. Yeah. So, but when I was in Virginia, I felt more comfortable with open carry than I did in Georgia. Now, is it because I'm more familiar with Virginia and not so much with Georgia? That could have had something to do with it. But either way you look at it, I got more questions coming at me from people. And, you know, it wasn't like, hey, why are you walking around with that firearm? It was, hey, are you a police officer? And as soon as I said no, then the barrage of questions started coming.
Right.
Like, okay, how can I do this? Or what do I learn to do this? It was just information. I was just passing it out to people for free.
That's it.
And that is, I'm just going to throw a plug in here for Every Second Matters. But I mean, that's something that I know the story. I don't know it well. It started on one of a live chat, not unlike this one, several years ago. And Pete over at Gun Websites kind of ran with it. So Every Second Matters is a movement. It's grassroots. He doesn't own it. He didn't trademark it. Everybody can have it. Got a patch for it right here. So Every Second Matters, and make sure that you use the number 2 ND so that it's not every second matters like time. It's literally, you can tell it's the Second Amendment. On the 2nd of the month in and month out, if you can open carry, do. If you can have one conversation that you wouldn't normally have that day about firearm ownership and responsible firearm ownership and carrying thereof, then do it. And that's what Every Second Matters is all about. Dude, that Mike W., that's exactly what those of us that open carry on the 2nd, that's what we want to have happen, is get those questions. And it just, happened organically for you, which is the best way. If it happens organically, you can't force that conversation. It doesn't work. It doesn't go well. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But
now it just comes naturally. I'll be walking around the city here in Columbia where I live at. I'll be walking around. Somebody will recognize me on the street. There goes the question, conversation right there. And like, I'll have to be somewhere at 2:30. Now I'm 45 minutes late because I don't like to turn people away. Like, yo, come on, ask the questions. Let's get it.
What's that feel like when you're just walking down the street and somebody recognizes you? Because I know we're near making it yet, because that hasn't ever happened. I know. So
it's weird because I don't like to feel like I'm at a disadvantage whenever something happens.
Yeah.
So like the same thing, like when you go to SHOT Show NRA, people like they'll call your name and it's, what? Right, you're just looking like all shocked, like who said that? Yeah, it's pretty strange, but I don't think you'll ever get used to it.
The narcissist in me can't wait for that day, but I'm also a little concerned about it too, because I'll be eating. I know it's going to happen. I'll be at lunch or something sometime, and somebody's just going to come up to me, and I'm not going to know what's happening. But yeah, like I said, there's a little bit of me that kind of hopes it happens one day, and it's fine if it doesn't. So,
John, I get it with the listen, with SHOT Show coming up, it's going to be ridiculous again, and it always is there. But I've met so many people over the course of my life, whether it's been and the careful side is the police work side. Like, I get people to come up and want to talk to me. I'm like, where do I know you from? I'm trying to figure that part out. And they just start talking to you and know everything about you because, when we do the radio shows or the podcasts or the interviews or shooting, whatever it is, you let out those details and those people listen and they lock onto it. And I'll have people come up to me and talk to me for 10 or 15 minutes. I'll have my partner on the show, or Earl, will be standing there with me, and they'll walk away, and Earl will go, who was that? And I go, I thought he was with you. Like, I knew nothing about us. No idea who he was.
Or did you have this conversation yet when somebody walks up on you and they recognize you, right? This is how it always goes. What are you carrying today? And then that's a conversation right there about the holster, and then the firearm for the holster, and then the training with the holster, and it just spirals. But like I said, at the same time, I'm my biggest guilt or sin, or however you want, downfall, however you want to look at it, is whenever I start talking to somebody, I won't turn the conversation off, even if I have to be someplace, because I don't, like I've always said, if somebody's coming to me for an answer, I should be able to teach them or give them the answer. But
Right.
I can explain it
I
to
like that
somebody else.
attitude.
MJ, you need business cards.
Oh yeah, trust me, I'm always handing them out.
Because you go, I'm sorry, I got call me. We'll talk in a half hour. I gotta go.
I'm cut from a different cloth.
I like that attitude though. That's one of the reasons, that the fact that you are a good guy and you'll talk to people, and you don't know me well, but you're here now tonight with us. I mean, I like that. And that's, again, it's been my experience so often that I don't expect anything less now with anybody in the gun community, the 2A community, which are separate communities that often overlap, but they're separate. Everybody's been welcoming. Everybody's been gracious. I've not yet had anybody tell me that they're not going to come on the show. I've had a few people that I've just never heard from, but I've never had anybody say, no, I'm not going to come on your show. You only go live to tens of people. So this is the best show that nobody's watching, I think. So, but honestly, it's such a great community to be a part of, and to answer those questions and get those questions answered. But I've also found out that I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only guy built like me that has some of the struggles of, I can't carry appendix because there's too much of me right above that spot to carry comfortably. There's a lot of things that I can't do that other people do on a daily basis, and I've got my own journey, and I'm not the only one that's been through it, and hopefully I can take what I've learned and pass along to somebody else who's got the what is it, Travis? The tactical dad bod. That's what Travis always says.
Tactical muffin top.
Tactical muffin. Yeah, exactly. It's been such a great experience and a great journey, and I'm 42 years old. I'm finally learning what I'm passionate about, and it's our freedom and it's our liberties. So so much so that I named my dog that. So my dog is named Liberty because I couldn't think of anything better than that to call her. So yeah, that's it's just been great to be part of this community and the online community too. Being somebody who has a live stream podcast like this, and being able to get my thoughts out, because being a regular guy, I know that there's tons of videos out there from people like Travis that are doing great reviews and great range tests and cleaning videos. There's people like Rob that are talking about self-defense gun uses all the time, and all of you do what you do, and then I do what I do, because you guys do what you do so well. I know I'm not going to do it better, but I don't see a ton of people out there putting together a show just talking about normal topics, normal concepts, trying to put a little food for thought out there, which is what I try to do. And so,
hey, you know what? Let's go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
Rob, you were going first. Mike next.
The two chipmunks that are both apologizing to each other. That's Michael and I tonight. Those cool stickers, and you and I have seen them on range bags. There's some bravado to that. And if you walk into the gun world and you go, oh, I guess I need that. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, or maybe it has a place. And all right, it's encouraging each other to higher levels of performance in a competition setting. Awesome. That's different than the situation on the street. Michael, if you're in a competition situation and you're getting ready to shoot, and I got a question, you're going to say, talk to me in a minute. I'm focused on other things. So context is everything. Context is everything.
Right. My question was going to be somewhat similar to what Rob was just saying. So we've already stated about the signs, right, and the patches and the sayings. So what about the replica firearms in certain movies? So let's just happen to say you got a firearm like Deadpool's firearm, and that's your
Mhm.
everyday carry. Would that fall into the same lines of discussion?
I don't see
know
that.
you-
I mean, it's a valid topic in this conversation tonight. For those of you that have not seen Deadpool, he's got it's a Desert Eagle, and it's got a custom, I'm guessing, Cerakote job. I can't remember everything that's on it, but I do know that around the muzzle crown is engraved "Smile, wait for the flash." I can't think of
Right.
what else it has on it off the top of my head, but that now I'm only going to speak for me. If I had a Deadpool replica Desert Eagle, it's gonna be in a safe or in a shadow box somewhere displayed. It's not going to be a carry pistol. If that ever gets used in a defense situation, it's because it was faster to smash the glass and grab that than to reload the one that was already in my hand. But there may be people that want to Cerakote their daily carry gun and make it look like a Deadpool gun, or I mean, you could put Punisher skulls, Punisher skull grips or whatever on a
Well,
pistol pretty
okay,
easy.
let's take the other side of this. Didn't Amanda Suffolcool have a little white and pink with funny horses on it AR?
Unicorns, weren't they?
What?
Weren't they unicorns?
Awesome. Go for it. I didn't study that. So what's your lawyer friend going to do with that, Mike?
So,
Well,
Mike,
and again, the good lawyer, right? The smile, wait for flash, the Punisher goals. That's I've got some stuff for competition. I got a couple of Gucci guns that I've gotten from Lone Wolf, and they're all great stuff, and they're great guns. I don't mind taking out at a range day and showing people, but it's never going to be my everyday carry gun because if that shooting situation arises, I don't need that sitting on the defense table with smile, wait for flash, waiting on the muzzle there. That's what you're going to get torn up. What's going on with Amanda's gun? Listen, I think a decent attorney can show that firearm, and I don't know if she's using that, Rob, for her everyday defense gun, if that's the one she's got at the house ready to go. But even if it was, they could turn and say, show me on here, someone please, where it says she has an intent to kill, where she's hunting people. What I see here is the alternative, that she's looking for a peaceful solution.
well, there's other movie replica guns that would be a little more under the radar too. Like, what if you get a Terran Tactical Glock 17, like in the John Wick version, or
well, again, if it's just a copy of a gun, it's a copy of a gun. Listen, I carry a 1911 like they carried in, We Were Soldiers. They killed good people with 1911s. I think you got to draw that line somewhere of this is a standard gun with standard equipment. It's when you start putting those little slogans and stickers and logos on there that you have to worry about the imagery that's going to show if you ever get involved in a shooting.
If you take a nondescript gun, like say it's a Glock 17, but you custom decorate it with the Mandalorian paint colors or the Deadpool paint colors or whatever it is, it wouldn't have to be a replica of the gun that was on the screen so much as it's a Punisher tribute. I know people that I know a guy that wants to build an AR from the frame up. Take a stripped lower and have the Punisher logo engraved on the lower, and then find other Punisher logoed components to put on as far as stock and grip and all that.
And that's all great stuff to keep on the wall at home. You never want to be involved in shooting with that.
If that firearm gets used, then
bring cash, because now you get to explain that.
Yep.
But also, any firearm used in a defensive situation is more than likely going to be locked up in an evidence locker for quite some time. So if it's a $5,000, Nighthawk 1911, you may rethink carrying that one anyway, unless you can afford another $5,000 Nighthawk.
Listen, my attorney says, he goes, everybody should own one High Point. That way, if you ever get into a shooting at home and the police say, which gun did you use?
You hand them the
High Point. On the High Point.
Yeah. It'll take them a year to figure out it wasn't the High Point.
The pattern.
Make sure it's a High Point, not a Sky, because the High Point will shoot.
Then after 10 rounds, the High Point was empty, and I threw my Jimenez at him.
Hey, my Jimenez always ran great. So both of them. Both of them ran great.
Yeah, but did you ever actually shoot them?
Yeah, my JA-22 all the time, and then my I did range tests on it. Why haven't you watched them, John?
I sprained my trigger
clean
finger trying to
videos on
shoot
them.
that
I did
damn thing.
tabletop reviews on them.
I'm
My
teasing. I
Menendez
know.
9mm was awesome, dude.
Okay. We're about ready to wrap up here. We've been going for almost an hour and a half now, and I want to give everybody a chance for closing thoughts and any shameless plugs. But before we do, there's one thought that I've been waiting, just because I kind of wanted to close with this. So my closing thought is, when it comes to the shirt you're going to wear, the decals you're going to put on your vehicle, even the Cerakote job that you're going to put on your firearm. Keep in mind that this is the United States of America. We do have a Bill of Rights that contains the First Amendment, which says that we have the right to free speech. Now, free speech means that you're not going to get incarcerated for speaking out against your government. And that's where it stops. It doesn't say that there are no consequences for how you exercise your right to free speech. We have the right to keep and bear arms, even though obviously that's attacked all the time. But there are consequences for any irresponsible use of said arms. And it may not be irresponsible in your mind, but the problem is that there are 12 other minds that need to be convinced, not yours. What you think means zero in a court of law. And you've got to determine if those other 12 people are likely to agree with where you're coming from or where the prosecutor's coming from. And that's a thought that if you're going to own a firearm, especially if you're going to own a firearm with the idea that you may need to use it one day in a defense situation, because some people have firearms to hunt, some people have firearms to shoot competition or shoot trap, whatever it is, just for general plinking on a Sunday afternoon, and have no intention of ever having a defensive, home defense or personal defense firearm. And that's maybe a different story. But if you have a firearm for defense, even if you're thinking about getting a firearm for defense because you're seeing the landscape of how the world is changing lately, keep these things in mind, that having a firearm, I'm a Spider-Man fan, it's no secret, having a firearm gives you great power. There is great power in a device that allows you to control an explosion and direct a projectile, right? Mm-hmm. And with that great power, we know there must also come great responsibility. So you also have great power with your words, with your actions, with your decorations, your decals, just how you carry yourself and how you clothe yourself. You have power there too, and that also must be used responsibly. And anybody that thinks that the First Amendment isn't as important as the Second, you can ruin more people's lives faster with words than you ever could with bullets. That's why they say the pen is mightier than the sword, because it is. A newspaper article, an expose, something like that can be damning to entire groups of people that you could never touch and would never touch physically with a firearm or any other way. But you can topple empires with words, and so that's something that again, the First Amendment needs to be used responsibly. Neither amendment excludes you from consequences, whether they're deserved or not. If you use your words, if you use your firearms responsibly or not, there's a chance that there's going to be some blowback. You need to have a plan. We're not here to say that there is one definitive right or wrong. There's not. You have the right to be what I would consider stupid. It may make perfect sense to you, and you may think you're in the right. That's okay. But have a plan. Think about it. Prepare for it. Don't get caught unawares. That's all. We just we wanted to have this discussion tonight because a lot of people have never even taken that journey in their mind. And if you can't make that journey in your mind, you're not going to be prepared if it ever actually happens for real. So keep all those things in mind, and just remember that you are ultimately responsible for your actions, whether it's how you dress, whether it's how you decorate your vehicle, your house, your firearm, your t-shirt, whatever it is. Your actions ultimately rest on your shoulders alone, and you need to be willing and able to answer for the choices that you make. So hopefully you will go out and seek out more information and do things to help yourself make better choices, right? That's all we can ask is that you make good choices. And if you don't know enough information, and a lot of us don't know what we don't know, right? So unless something's brought to our attention, it's never going to occur to us to even consider it. So that's ultimately what we wanted to do tonight. It's been a great conversation, and I appreciate all 6 of you being here. But we will go around the horn and just give everybody a chance to give any final thoughts, and then again, shameless plugs and where people can find you. So Travis, we'll bring you up first. Where can people find you, and what do you have for any closing thoughts that you didn't get a chance to say?
No, it's all good, man. You can find me over on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook at Travis P11, pretty much everywhere. No, I think it was a good conversation this evening. Definitely some food for thought. You're always torn on like, yeah, we've got that constitutional right, but there can always be a reaction of somebody else, whether you want it or not. You just got to think before you do something. And it's a shame it has to be that way. And I will say, being in a rural state for the most part, it's nice to have that ability to open carry, not to have somebody scream at you for the most part. It's a great feeling to not have to worry about that kind of thing when we can. But I just hope at some point things will improve, and I don't know, just kind of hope for the best. So I appreciate the invite, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being here. All right, Pat, you're up next. Closing thoughts. Where can people find you?
Everybody can find me on YouTube at Pat Hirsch, and that's pretty much where I'm at. And hopefully in the next week, and I know I keep saying this, hopefully have the Smith & Wesson review, the 500 round review done, and a new edition that I have in the bunker down here. I'm still waiting on just a couple parts, so that way it looks good when I do the review. But yeah, no, it's definitely a good review tonight. That was Mrs. in the bunker.
So wait, hold on here. Hold the phone. So you've actually got a good-looking person in that bunker with you, and we've been stuck looking at you all night?
Yeah, pretty much. She's a little camera shy. She'll do the every once in a while do the walk by, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm just happy that she waved with all 5 fingers extended on her hand. It was a nice wave. We're not number 1 tonight, so thank you, Mrs. Pat.
No, she hasn't blown any of her digits off, or I haven't blown any of her digits off, so we're all good.
Perfect. So I do have one question. When you finally unveil the bunker, are you going to change the channel name to Pat in a Bunker officially then, so people can look up Pat in a Bunker and find you better?
Yes, actually, that channel name is coming very, very soon.
That's awesome.
I actually talked with somebody out there in the chat a couple weeks ago, and they said that's pretty much what I should go with, because that's pretty much what everybody knows me by. So I'm like, yep, the changes are coming.
And here I thought I had an original thought, but never mind then.
Bro, bunkers are so hot right now. Everybody wants one.
That's true. I wish I had a bunker.
I've got one right now.
That and living in your van is big. So there you go. Pat in a van and Pat in a bunker. So
no van down by the river.
Van life. No. Yeah.
I'm not Chris Farley. This is not
the Combine. Those are pretty good cabins, I think.
Matt Foley, inspirational speaker.
I live in a van down by the river.
That's your yapper.
All right.
All right,
Pat, thanks for being here.
Thanks to the panel. It's been a good chat tonight. It really has been.
I appreciate you. All right. Mike P., you are up next. Closing thoughts. Where can people find you?
Well, this is I like to call this room Location Bravo, is what we call it on the radio station. So
nice.
That's it. That wall behind you is it's all bourbons. When you let people know that you're into bourbon, they tend to want to give you more of it. So I appreciate that anytime. That's probably where half of that stuff's from, and it's all great stuff. We got a couple of bourbon sponsors from up in Kentucky, so it was always a good start, and it worked out well. Listen, Arms Room Radio, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Go to armsroomradio.com. You can take us listen there anytime. Go or all over the internets for all the webcasts and the podcasts and everything posted afterwards. The rundown .us, that's on Facebook, and the YouTube, that's daily at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Let's see, next event coming up is SHOT Show. Right. So if you're going to be at SHOT Show November 17th, Monday night, Hofbrau House, 8 p.m., come on out. Enjoy some tasty beverages brought to you by our good friends at Gorilla Machining. Rob, let's hook up. I'm ready to do that thing we talked about. And Michael, if you're going to be at SHOT Show, please come by Radio Row. Let's make some sweet radio together.
I won't be at SHOT Show this year.
Oh man.
Sorry. Yeah, I got other ventures going on, but I'll tell you about it when we get off the camera.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right.
And John, thank you always for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I got to say, though, I'm going to call BS on that because maybe it only applies to bourbon. I've let lots of people know that I'm into firearms, firearm accessories, and ammunition. Nobody's sent me squat. So,
well, bourbon's cheaper than firearm stuff. So
that's true for now.
There's that.
All right. Mike P., thanks for being here. Mike Woodland, closing thoughts, and where can people find you?
All right, I'll lead off with the closing thoughts first. Also, I would actually tell or challenge everyone to do the research on the topic that we spoke on tonight. And just remember, back when the Vietnam War was going on, there was a protest, and that was brought into the Supreme Court, or it was either the Supreme Court or the Second District Court, in regards to the retaliation of freedom of speech. Whereas everybody was wanting to wear a black band around their arm for protesting for the Vietnam War. And I'm not going to give you the answers, but look it up and see what took place in that court case and how that's going to transpire into future court cases regarding clothing within schools, sayings on the clothing within schools and public. And it's just a rabbit hole you're going to go down. But it's very interesting once you start looking into that stuff as well. But I will actually say, everyone, you can find me on, if you go to Facebook, you can look up M-W Tactical, on Instagram at M-W Tactical. Now, I'm more active on Instagram if you were to reach out and try to talk to me. So, but if you was to write me on YouTube or Facebook, it would either be me or one of the people that's helping me with those channels. Also, if you go to YouTube, you can find me at M-W Tactical on YouTube also. Now, one thing about the YouTube channel is once we hit 1,000 subscribers, because I didn't put a lot of effort into YouTube like I should have in the past, but once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway. And all you got to do is just subscribe. And if you leave a comment on one of the videos, your name will be put into a randomizer, and ain't no telling what type prize you're going to get from one of the sponsors of M-W Tactical.
Very cool. Mike, thanks for being here tonight and bringing us your
perspectives.
perspectives.
Thank you.
You betcha, man. All right, Rob Morse. This may take a while for you to tell people where to find you because you're found in a lot of places. But closing thoughts, and then where can people find you?
You know, it's interesting. Look at the people on this panel. None of you were glib. Well, okay, Mike. No, come on. Look at the rest of us, other than Mike. No. Okay, I'll be serious. You are gentlemen, and you thought, I'm going to be in public. I'm going to be seen. I want to send the message that I choose rather than leave that up to somebody else's interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
True to a man on here. You know what? We all live in public. That's what we're talking about tonight. You can do it too. Speed Answer. I host the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast, and I co-host the Polite Society podcast each week. My blog is at slowfacts.wordpress.com. From there, the writing is picked up at Amaland, where I get to write the weekly Armed Citizen column. Thank you for having me on, John.
You bet. Thanks for being here with us tonight, Rob. And hopefully this is the first of many episodes that you get to bring your opinions in. All right, Defense Dad, as is becoming usual, you get to back cleanup.
Well, I thought it was a good show tonight. You know, when it comes down to what we talked about tonight, only you can really make that decision, what you want to wear, what you want to advertise in your car. do what you're comfortable with. And if you're willing to have those conversations and bring it out, then have them. It's the First Amendment. You can do whatever you want to. It's the great part about this country. As far as where you can find me, mainly mainly YouTube. I do a little bit on Instagram, that sort of thing. I'm going to get a little more active with the channel. My retail holiday season is over, so I have more than one day off a week now for the last 2 months. And the channel's going to be changing a little bit. It's still going to be gun related, but I'm going to introduce more EDC gear as well. So that's it.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. And thanks for being my fully semi-official co-host.
Not a problem.
Glad to have you with us. All right. And if you're listening, if you're watching, you already know where to find me. But we do this live every week on YouTube and Facebook, which is where I'm found, YouTube and Facebook. I've got a few other things like I think Parler and what Joe Rogan just go to? Getter, I think it's called. I downloaded that this week and have done nothing with it besides plug in my name, but I'm there now, and we'll see if those grow wings. You guys know how I feel. I'm hesitant to put all my eggs into those baskets because at least on Facebook and YouTube I can preach to more than just the choir, and so I can reach people that wouldn't ordinarily hear my voice versus those smaller platforms. They seem to be more echo chambers than anything at this point. So we need to pick one and grow it and make it the one that everybody goes to. And I think that there's a lot of little ones right now that suffer because there are other little ones as well. So we need to just kind of pick one, grow it, and then work on growing the next one once the first one gets big enough that it's not all like-minded individuals that are there. Although sometimes it's nice to get out of the storm, right? And spend some time with the like-minded individuals and just take it a little bit easier. So there's something to be said for that too. Next week, I am not sure yet if we're going to be having a regular episode. I've been speaking with the president of NFOA, Trish Harold, and then one of our volunteers, Dick Clark, who works, among other things, works in the office for the Government, Military, and Veterans Affairs Committee in our legislature. And the bill has been introduced now for permitless carry in Nebraska. Not constitutional because it only discusses handguns. So it's just permitless carry for a handgun, not true constitutional yet. But the bill has been introduced. We will be discussing that in a live town hall meeting live stream. Possibly the only night that's going to work for the three parties involved, myself and Trish and Dick. It might be Thursday night. So if that's going to be the case, we're going to bump this show, and I will just invite everybody over to Nebraska Firearms Owners Association on YouTube and Facebook, because that's where that live stream will be held. But if you have questions about how to help make that bill turn into law, we will be answering those questions and more that night. So look for more to come, possibly Thursday, maybe Friday. If we do Friday, then we'll have the regular show here. But I can't do both at once, obviously. And I'm not going to mix the two channels. So if it's an NFOA stream, excuse me, I'm not going to put it here. You'll have to go to the NFOA page to get there. So if you are a praying person, I'm asking for prayers for my bride. She's not feeling peoply tonight, which is why she's not in the producer's chair. Many of you may remember the shelf over my shoulder. At times you would see the white fluffy cat, and he had to be put down today, and she's had him longer than she's had me. And so she's just not feeling up to dealing with people tonight. So I would just ask for prayers that losing the pet goes a little bit easier for her. And we'd appreciate all that. So on behalf of Sandhills Sweetheart and myself, and also Travis and Pat and Mike, and that sounds like a radio show in the morning or something. I don't know. And Rob and Defense Dad, thank you very much, all of you, for joining us tonight. Or if you're catching this on the replay, thank you for listening or watching when it's convenient for you. Get those comments in, even if it's after the fact. Get those comments in. Let us know your opinions. This can be kind of a hot button. So if you've got opinions, please share them. And I didn't put a lot of the comments up on the screen just because the conversation kept flowing so well tonight. I didn't get as much time. But thank you for making those comments over there in the live chat, because I'm going to go back through and catch those again. And if you're watching this on replay, you should be able to turn on the live chat and just follow along with those comments as well. So that being said, we want to thank you for being here. Stay tuned, because I'm not sure what's going to happen next week. But we've got some really cool episodes planned here for the near future. Plus, we're going to plan one now with Mike Piwowarski about open carrying, and you're all invited to come join us for that one as well, and make that one lively. So thanks everybody for being here. God bless you. We love you, but it's time to go. Get off my lawn.